G'day guys, Josh here. Hope you guys are having a great day today. We're going to go with the next episode of, the Lost Ice Compendium. So we've gone through Chaos Dungeons, Guardian Raids, and all that jazz basically. Honing, how you get honing mats from pirate ships to guild bloodstones and stuff like that, and why it's important to be in a guild early on. Also referencing a past video as well. But now, this is the part where you're all like, dude, you mentioned tiers. What the hell is this? We've been through 4 videos of a lot of endgame content, and I don't even know what a tier is. What are you talking about, bro? All I know is, I've started my first Chaos Dungeons in Northern. Maybe I've done Rohendale and stuff like that as well. But what the hell is tiers? I don't understand tiers. So what a tier is basically they've linked it to a set of gear. Okay, so basically tiers is generally a player-used term, but it's usually determined by the set of gear. So you can see it here. We'll go back into the game quickly as well to give you guys an example of it as well. So this is like tier 1 gear, okay? So tier 1 gear, this is a max set obviously because this character's tier 3. As you can see in the brackets above, like you can see it's, bracket tier 1, bracket tier 3. So basically tier 1 gear you get from your Chaos Dungeons, tier 2 gear you also get from Chaos Dungeons as well. But the definition of tier, there's like tier 1, tier 1.5, which is going, after Rohendale and stuff like that as well. There are actually various gear sets. There is actually one from the Abyss Dungeon, and actually two from the Abyss Dungeon, and one from the Chaos Dungeons. For the first two tiers, it doesn't really matter which you get Abyss Dungeon gear or not. Just basically you get a gear to 15. It makes no or little difference at all. So tier 1, the gear starts at basically 0, and you hone it up to 15. Once you get 15 in everything, you basically can go to the next tier. You can actually hone it beyond 15 to 20, but the percentages get really, really low, and the gold cost gets a bit higher, and so do the Harmony Shard cost, and it's generally not worth it. You just want to get to the next tier as soon as you can. So basically the tiers go like this. So I'll probably put a picture like this as well, but we're going to go through the maps overall. So basically, let's go through the map, okay? The big world map here. So you start in Northern at 300, and at 460, it should be listed in your adventure guide quest that at 460 you go to Island to go to Rohendale, and you need to find a way to break the wall of Procyon. As you can see, it's listed on your map. And you go to that quest, you go to Wisdom Isle, you find a way, and you break the wall to go to Rohendale. So every time you go to a not new tier, but a new part of a world, you go 0.5 up a tier. So here in Rohendale, you go to tier 1.5, and you do the quest there. Once you've done the quest there, you unlock all the Chaos Dungeons, which give more tier 1 mats than the previous Chaos Dungeons. And also gives you, if you're 460, you get a new set of Guardian Raids, but you may have to do the previous story quest in here as well. So you need to do the story to do the Chaos Dungeons and stuff like that as well. Next up, when you hit 600 eye level, be aware as well with these quests, you actually don't have to do Rohendale. Okay, you can go to Yawn, which is the Idol 600 quest, if you get to 600 Northern. Okay, you can actually go to Yawn, and you don't have to do Rohendale at all. However, I highly recommend that you do all the zones, okay? On your first turn at least, okay? Do not skip zones, okay? Very, very important to do all the zones at least once. If you want to do them again, get on your ults, feel free to do so. But I'm going to tell you right now, they can take up to 2 hours, okay, to do them. And if you want to do them, go ahead. If not, you don't need to. However, for Yawn and through other tiers where you go from tier 1 to tier 2, you have to do the story quest, okay? If you can't avoid it unless you use memory transfer, of course. We'll talk about memory transfer later. So tier 2 is Yawn, and basically what tier 2 is, when you do the Yawn Chaos Dungeons, you get a new set of gear. And a big recommendation you got to do with the new set of gear is that you transfer your old set of gear, the tier 1, into the tier 2, and it gives you an extra level. Okay, so gear transfer, you'd be like, what the hell is that? Gear transfer is on the honing vendor, and it's one of the second tabs, and you can put gear transfer, and you select your new set of gear, and there'll be on the right hand side, there'll be a 15 set of gear, and you can gear transfer it across to the new tier, saving you a slot in your bank. So Yawn is a pretty fun, Yawn takes about 2 hours as well, and also has its own set of Chaos Dungeons as you saw yesterday. And we can go here, you can see the difference where it will go from, let's go over here, you can go from here, you get, Harmony Shards, and it goes to Life Shards and all this stuff like that as well. Okay, so it changes. So be aware of that as well. You get a new set of Chaos Gear in here as well. Now, after that, after you hit 960, which will be indicated by a guide quest, you can go to Phaeton, and Phaeton is tier 2.5. And basically, Phaeton, you don't have to do its story. You can actually go to tier 3 by going to Panuka right away. but I highly recommend going to Phaeton and doing Phaeton, because Phaeton's Chaos Dungeons give significantly a lot of tier 2 mats, and basically there's a tier 2 dead zone, which is between 1060 and 1100, where the mats are really, really high, and you need as much mats as possible, and Phaeton's definitely one of the areas that you want to do. Phaeton does have one mission where you have to do a stealth mission to escort the children, and can be very, very frustrating, I'll tell you that now, but overall, Phaeton's a pretty quick zone. And that's tier 2 done. Once you hit 1.1k, tier 2 is over, you can go to tier 3. So tier 3 is basically Punica, and basically Punica takes an hour and 30 minutes, and there's no real issues in the quest. Like, all the quest lines are very easy, and there's no like pain in the ass quests that you just don't want to ever do ever again. After you get to tier 3, you still get your you still get your stuff in the Chaos Dungeons. So like, you get your gear set in the Chaos Dungeons, you can see here, get your new set of gear. However, in Moon, you can upgrade that gear to 1340. Like, in 1340, you get that new tripods, obviously, put onto it. And you can upgrade your gear further, and it's a lot better. Now, in Sun, this changes immensely. At 1370, you do a new type of content to get gear, which is Abyss Raid or Hard Mode Abyssal Dungeons. We'll go through that a bit later on like what they are and stuff like that when we get to tier 3 and tier 2 content. Okay, because we're not there yet. We're not there at all. But basically, this goes that you can only get gear from Abyssal Dungeons and Abyssal Raids, which is group content, and your Chaos Dungeon gear can't go beyond 1370. Now, with tier 3 is a bit different, where, like, it has tiers within itself. Basically, Punica is lower at early tier 3. Now, you do South Fern at 1340, and this is where you get into the mid tier 3 and to the upper tier 3. In mid tier 3, you get legendary gear from Argos, which is an Abyss Raid, and Abyssal Dungeons Aura Pravasa, and Ares Oculus, okay? You get mat materials, which you can go to the vendor. I think we showed you guys in North Fern, there was an Abyss Crafter vendor. So I'll just give you a bit of a refresher. So down here, where you can craft the next set of gear, which allows you to hone further. At 1370, you can't hone your epic pieces any further. You have to transfer them to legendary Argos gear via the gear transfer, or transfer it, obviously make it yourself. But gear transfer is definitely the highly preferable one. And then you put those, like, you can hone a bit further to 1415 or beyond if you want to. So basically, overall, once your gear is 1415, you can go to, not 1415, 1445. You can go to the next tier, which is basically a new tier called Relic Tier 3. Okay, so Relic Tier 3, you have to have done South Fern to do this, okay? Like, if you haven't done South Fern, you can't do this. So basically, after you've done South Fern, a lot of stuff opens up. Your Chaos Line opens up and a lot of other dungeons as well. But the next one is going to be basically Legion Raids. Okay, so we're going to go... First, we're going to show you the Abyssal Dungeons and stuff like that as well. As you can see here, you get this material called Oreha's Evrillion, and that makes the new set of gear called the Chosen. Now, the other set of gear is from Abyss Raid from Argos, and that makes the... from Argos Blood, and that makes Preordained or the Harsh Oath. Okay? And they have their own set bonuses like that as well in it. So just be aware of that as well. And with Argos as well, Argos has 3 phases. The first phase you require 1370, then 1385, then 1400. The more phases you do, the more Argos blood you get and the more accessories you get. Now, there's a bonus chest in here as well that gives you 5 blood. And also, when you complete every hard mode and Argos for the first time, you get extra mats basically to make more gear with. Now, by the way, with the gear sets, you won't get all your gear in 1 week. It does take 2 or 3 weeks to get it. And anyways, it takes a long time to get from Argos and hard mode Oreha gear to the next tier, which is the Relic set. Now, the next tier is 1415, where you can craft a legendary set in the Legion Raids. So with the Legion Raids, you can only do 1 per week. No, not 1 per week. You can do 3 per week, but you can only do each Legion Commander once. Okay? So there's Voltan, Vicus, Kakusaden, which you can't click yet, and Brashaza. And basically, they give materials. So for normal, they give Covetous Fangs, which can build the next tier of loot, which is the in-between 1415 to 1445. And they give a Relic tier, which goes from 1445 onwards, which has really good set bonuses as well. With the legendary bonuses, they have, regular set bonuses that improve, like, certain damage or anything like that as well. But the Relic tier sets have, like, really game-breaking, fingers where they give you a lot extra damage, a lot of extra buffs. Support gets massive buffs as well. Now, with the Legion Raids as well, they're a lot different with the tier. but overall the gear, it's still the same honing and stuff like that as well, is that you do need these materials as well as a new material called Stain of Chaos to make them. And the honing rates become really, really low in tier 3. And it's what you call high-end tier 3, or mid-tier 3 as they call it as well. Relic tier 3 or mid-tier 3, sorry. And the reason why they call it mid-tier 3 is that you upgrade these set pieces in Broshaza, and I think Kakusada may have some upgrades as well, but I'm not terribly too sure. You upgrade these to tier 2, the ancient gear sets as per se. And this is when basically the set bonuses are go to level 2, and they increase the damage further, and that you can hone the gear even further up as well. Now with upper tier 3, which is basically killing Broshaza, you basically get even what is it? Broshaza has 3 separate raids for her as well, 3 separate gates. So basically you just be doing after you do like these 3, if you can farm Broshaza, you just be doing Broshaza's raids every single time. Now Broshaza gives her own mats as well to make the upper tier 3 as well, and overall you need 5 times the mats that you needed previously to upgrade your gear to upgrade upper tier 2 gear. So be aware of that as well. Okay, and that's pretty much the end of the tiers at the moment. They haven't had any upgrades on tiers. There's no tier 4 or anything like that. It's just tier 3 separated through early tier 3, mid tier 3, or mid tier 3, or you can still call it early tier 3 as well. Then you got mid tier 3 or relic tier 3, and the legendary in between. And then you got Broshaza tier 3, which is upper tier 3, basically. There's a lot of different names for this as well, but all I generally separate it by, I separate, pre-Argos, Argos and hard modes, Legion Raid normal, Legion Raid hard, Broshaza. That's pretty much it. That's what I separate it by. But those are the tiers, basically, as well. And those are just a general overlook as well. Don't take too much into it. Just be aware, that's how the tiers work, and that's how they do. This is not going to be done all in one day. It is a grind process. Like, you do it bit by bit by bit each day. And this is where your ults can come in, because your ults can help you speed run through the tiers as well. And, highly recommend to make sure you got the ults to do so. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it. That's going to be it for what the hell are tiers. And I hope you guys have a lovely, lovely day.